Hey guys, welcome back to Board Bag Studio. I'm Jesse Paul, your host, and this is the podcast where I talk to boarders about their healthy habits. Right now I'm stuck at my house, as I'm sure just about everyone else listening is as well. And so I thought that this was a good time for me to try something new with the podcast. I recorded this interview over Skype. It's the first time I've done one of these without being there one-on-one with the person. So if there are any audio issues, just bear with me. I'm figuring out the technical side, but I think overall it went really well. I'm going to start doing more of these remotely, and I hope that this will allow me to put out more episodes, because I have realized that as I've gotten busier, especially over the last year, it's been really hard for me to take all of my podcast equipment everywhere. And so by doing it at home, it's going to allow me to, like I said, do it more regularly, and I hope allow me to talk to a broader audience of people. So yeah, trying something new, and I'm hoping that it'll bring some new life and excitement to the podcast. This episode is brought to you by Raw Life Superfoods. You guys want an easy way to get healthier? Then just start drinking the certified organic superfood green drink. It has got just about everything you need, including digestive enzymes, prebiotics, and probiotics. Personally, I like using it on days when I feel like I haven't eaten as many vegetables as I maybe should have, or maybe I just need a little boost in the middle of the day. A lot of times I put it in a morning smoothie. It's just a really good way to cover your bases nutritionally. Raw also has a protein powder, which I use almost daily. Especially since I'm vegan. It's a good way to get my protein intake, and it's a powder from a lot of different sources, which creates a better amino acid profile. And they also have algae oil, which I also use daily. And it's a great alternative to fish oil to get your omega-3s, which are very important for overall health. So if you guys want some of this stuff, you can get 10% off with my discount. Just use the code Jesse, Jesse, at rawlife.com. My guest today is Jill Perkins, the 2020 winner of the Women's Most Valuable Video Player and Reader's Choice Awards. And it's of no surprise, because she had an incredible part last year from Snowboarders Everybody. And if you haven't seen it, you should absolutely watch it. It's insane. It was one of my favorite parts of that movie, and one of my favorite parts of the year, honestly. I was really impressed. I first met Jill probably 5 years ago at Wendell's when we were both working there. I believe I was working as a counselor and she was working in the kitchen, and I would always see her skating and snowboarding and be super impressed at the sheer dedication that she would have. She would try tricks for so long and so hard that you could tell she was really motivated to get better. And it is insane how much better she actually has gotten since then. Actually quite mind-blowing. But after talking to her for a while, I'm not too surprised. I mean, she's got such an incredible drive to always better herself, and it was really cool to hear her perspective about that. During the conversation, we talked about working out, getting through injury, what it was like growing up, navigating sponsors, having a dog, and even a little bit about some school that she has done in the past and that she's getting back into these days. But that's enough of me telling you about it. Let's hear from Jill herself. All right, Jill Perkins. We are recording.
Paul.
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Just getting through, you know?
Yeah, I guess I am great. but I guess in times like this, I guess I could use a different word. I'm bored. I'm really bored.
Yeah. Who are you living with right now?
I live with Amanda Hankinson and her boyfriend Parker and this kid Taylor Miller.
And what have you guys been up to?
Well, currently Parker's still working and he's been doing some like welding stuff. Amanda's been like doing some yard work. I've been trying to stay sane, like skating like empty parking lots, I guess, here and there, or just trying to figure out how to occupy my time. But that's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys all been hanging out together much, or like going skating together, or are you usually kind of on your own?
Kind of on my own. They're kind of hanging around here, which I know I should be doing a little bit better at keeping around the house, and I think I am day by day, but it's really hard, I guess. Like struggling between like the mental state of it, and like the physical state of it, like what I need to do to like keep my sanity and
Yeah.
like there's a fine line, but
Yeah.
working towards bettering it. Trying to find new hobbies.
Yeah. So what have you been doing to keep your sanity other than getting out of the house every once in a while and skating a bit?
Well, my dog, that's been nice. It's been like a big help. I'm able to like walk her around the block or whatever and like just like keep to myself doing that. I've been like trying to figure out like things to do, such as I like doing collages, but at the same time, like I can't really go get supplies as much as I would like, or I can't like sift. I don't really feel comfortable like sifting through a bookstore at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of thinking, well, then the next thing I came to, I was like, oh, I'll make candles or something. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of boring. Like, I mean, it would be fun pastime, but I don't know if that's something I want to do a lot of. But my latest thing I want to do is I think I'm going to get an iPad, and
Ooh.
my friend has an iPad. She's a tattoo artist. So like, she's like uses that, and like, I would like color on there.
Oh,
I
cool.
call it coloring, but it's not really coloring. It's like drawing. And like, I really like doing that. So I think I'm going to maybe like get one and like experience and mess around with it and like make patches or something. That sounds kind of fun.
Patches.
Yeah. Or just
Like-
like anything like
Patches like to print on fabric? Or
yeah.
yeah.
Print, like I want to stitch them, so I want to like draw them up on the iPad. You can get like an iPencil or something. You like just like draw, and there's so many programs these days which make it way easy, and I don't know. It's really cool. It's really like accessible and friendly. So I think if I can like design patches on the iPad and then print them out, and then you get like I don't even know the terms. Like I just started looking this up this morning, but I think it's the only thing that I feel like I could do or like I want to do so far. And then just like embroider them onto like jean or just like some kind of fabric or something, cloth.
Yeah. Do you have an embroidering machine or?
No, my hands.
Okay. You're right.
Yeah.
Right. And
So
you
it's
said you
still
feel like
time.
that's the only thing you could do. Or do you mean as far as like making stuff or like something that's accessible? Like, or are you talking about clothing? Like, what are you into? What do you want to make?
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I love snowboarding and skateboarding, and like those are the two things that I'm like passionate about and I love to do. So, and I like the artistry that goes into those things and surrounds the environment and the culture and all that and all the above. But I really struggle with like diving into new hobbies because whatever I do, it's like 100% or nothing. And so like it takes me a while. Like I can have 10 things on my mind that I want to do, but it's really difficult for me to like do them. And that's something I'm working on, and especially with all this time on my hands, like it's getting to me, but I think it's for the first time like I have the time to do it. So I'm hoping that I can find something that I like and like go
That you can really dive into, give
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Right.
I have
And
a problem where I do it halfway and then I get bored of it, and
yeah,
all my
I'm the king of starting hobbies and just not really doing much. But
yeah.
yeah, it's cool to have this time to be able to really get into something. I've been kind of doing a lot of meditation and reading some spiritual books and things like that, stuff that I've kind of been interested in, but I've never really been able to give it. But yeah, I can never read for like an hour or two during the day, and I've had time to do that, and it's kind of cool.
Do you think that you weren't reading before because you didn't have the time, or you just like couldn't get into it?
Mostly just because I felt like I was filling my time with a bunch of other things during the day and just trying to stay busy and, always, doing this, that, and the other thing. And now, you're stuck at home and it's kind of a cool way to just tune out and not feel like. I guess the thing with reading books for me is, at least during the day, I get really impatient after, maybe half an hour. I start to be like, oh, I shouldn't be just like sitting here doing nothing and everything
True.
is kind of calling my attention and stuff. But now it's like, oh, I could just sit on the couch for like 3 hours and not feel like I'm missing out or not feel like I have to do anything else.
Yeah.
So, I think this time is, there's not really any FOMO going on. So,
Yeah. Totally.
but
Totally. It's interesting. I find reading to be very difficult, except for when I'm reading. I guess the only book that I've read like front to back multiple times was Mind Gym.
yeah,
And
that's a good
yeah,
one.
I mean, I'm sure you've read that, right?
I have, yeah. Did you
You're
just
cutting
break up?
out.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I hear you now, though.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
All right. Yeah, for those listening, this is my first time doing one over Skype. So if we have any problems, just bear with us here. Uh, but yeah, and so you read Mind Gym a few times. You just don't really read much other than that.
Yeah,
That's a
I
weird
would
question,
love
I
to.
guess.
No, you're absolutely correct. I struggle with it for sure, and that is one thing that I would like to get better at. And so I've read that a couple times, and then I like to read when I travel, like on the plane. I'll read a lot. Also, kind of just like at home, it'll just put me to sleep. Like I haven't found something that like when I'm reading, I don't know. Other than that, I would say. But I recently started reading a new book that was like categorized like it's like relative to Mind Gym, but it's a lot more on the business side of things opposed to like Mind Gym being, I don't know, I grew up playing team sports, so I know in Mind Gym there's make a lot of references to team sports, so it like makes sense to me and in my head, and it's applicable to what I do in like my day-to-day life, and I find it very helpful, and like it actually has really helped me a lot. So I think like getting to do those types of things or reading books of that genre, I think I would be interested in. But other than that, like I can't find myself to like read like a sci-fi book or something like that. Like I just get bored. I wish I could. I
Yeah,
really do,
yeah.
but maybe
Right.
later in life or something.
Yeah, I mean it's not necessarily for everybody, especially this time in life. Like I have some friends who on the weekends they're like, "Oh, I get to just sit at home and read all day." But I would go crazy if I was doing that, and I'm sure, you're the same way. Like we want to move our body and get out and feel like it's this weird thing that you feel like you're almost not doing anything when you're reading a book. You feel like
Yes.
you're kind of wasting time and you're like, oh, well, I could be like spending this time skating or like going out and
Yes.
hanging with friends, stuff like that. But
I will read a page in a book and I will read the page and I'll get to the bottom of the page and have to reread the page because I'm like my head was like thinking
yeah,
about completely different.
right.
So taking this time, I guess, to like figure out how to not do that is
Hmm.
crucial.
Right. Okay. So you said you grew up playing team sports.
I did.
What did you play?
Gosh, A to Z. I played, I don't know, soccer, basketball. I played hockey, played softball. I almost played water polo, but I couldn't
Hmm.
do it. Yeah. I guess that's like the main ones I played. I wanted to play lacrosse, didn't get a chance. I didn't have it in my city, but I think, to be honest, I think my favorite one I played was hockey. I just played it when I was really young, and then my mom was like, "You're gonna knock your teeth out," so I had to quit.
So then you moved to snowboarding, street
Yeah,
snowboarding.
yeah. So another way to knock my teeth out, I guess you
Yeah.
could
Right.
say. But luckily, I got the full grill. So
Yeah. And what age did you play hockey until? That
I played
was
when I was young. Let's see. I think I was in like almost like third to sixth grade, so like super young. And then it was the same time like I was skateboarding and playing hockey. And then my mom was like, I was going into middle school, and my mom was like, "You're gonna lose your teeth," like blah 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 blah. And I was like, "Oh, like I kind of want like girlfriends." Like at this point, I was just like hanging out. Like all my neighbors were guys. Like I had a brother. Like I was just like hanging out with all the boys. And then I was like, okay, like yeah, maybe I should like go get a skirt or makeup or like I don't know, try to do like girlier things. So I did that, and that was fun. Whatever, like I had a good time, but I guess I never realized like how much I miss skateboarding and hockey and just like playing sports like that or like more like hands-on things. It went from later, like once I got to high school, it went from playing like team sports and like using my body to like going to brunch on Sundays and like sitting there
Mm,
for 4 hours, and
right.
that's all well and good. But I really, once I started snowboarding again, that's when I started skateboarding again. And that was when I was like 17 or 18. And then I was like, oh, this is what I actually love to do. Like, I couldn't believe that I had missed that much of my life, like not doing it.
Wow.
And yeah, it's
So you
wild.
you you felt like you kind of lost touch with. You're like, oh well, I guess this is what the girls are doing. This is what my friends are doing. I'll do this, and then you rediscovered it. Uh,
Absolutely.
so how did you rediscover it? Did you just pick up your skateboard one day?
So my senior year of high school, my friend Pete, he was like going snowboarding, and like I had gone snowboarding when I was younger, probably like 4 times. Like my friend's family had a house in Big Bear, and like we would go, like our families would go for Christmas, and we'd like rent boards and boots and everything. And like I was like in my head, like I liked to snowboard, but I'd only gone like those 4 times. But I skated at that time when I was going snowboarding as a little one. But then when I stopped, I didn't even think about it. But in senior year of high school, like my friend Pete was like, "Hey, I'm going. Do you want to go?" Like he was kind of struggling in high school, so I was like, "Yeah, sure." Like I would like make time to like go hang out with him. Like we would have our days where we would like hang out, and so I went up with him, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is like really fun. Like I miss this. Like it's like one thing where I feel like I can do it, and I could still like." Honestly, like the thought was crossing my mind when I first started snowboarding again, where I was like, snowboarding's so cool because like girls can do it, and it's still required, like it's still like feminine in a way, and like there was so many things growing up that weren't feminine, and like I would get shit for that all the time, like
Hmm.
especially with snowboarding. It was like no girls did it, and so I felt
Skateboarding.
like when I was yeah,
Yeah.
skateboarding, no girls did it. So when I went snowboarding and I saw that there was like other girls on the hill, as cliche as that sounds, it made me like be like, oh, this is something that like I can do and like feel confident in.
Hmm.
But even at that point, I didn't realize that I was gonna do it as a career. I think it was just something where I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like it brings up like what I love to do from my past, and I could do it in my present, and that was important to me. So, and then I went snowboarding my senior year, and then that summer, um, I went to High Cascade. I think it was that summer or the following summer, maybe. I was dating this kid, and his dad like ran USASA locally, like in Big Bear, and so like they got like discounts at High Cascade, and so I went one summer, and that's when I started skateboarding again. I didn't even own a skate. Sorry, hold on.
That's all right.
Knock it off. I didn't even own a skateboard, and when I went to camp, I like would borrow this girl's skateboard, and like every day she like wasn't using it. And then the first thing I did when I got home from camp, I was like 18. I like bought a skate. The first thing I did, bought a skateboard,
Yeah.
and then
Nice.
I moved to Utah, and that was, I think I bought a skateboard in August, and I moved to Utah in the end of September. So it happened quick, I guess.
Okay, and that was right at September, like right after senior year, after graduating high school.
I think no, I did 1 year of community college, and then I moved. I
Okay.
actually went on Facebook yesterday, and there's a video of me being a camper, like doing a backflip off my skateboard into the foam pit, and it said
Oh,
6 years ago. So that was
wow.
like
Yeah.
yeah. So 6 years ago, I went to camp,
Dang.
and then I moved to Utah for school. Well, at least that's what I told my
Hmm.
parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then and now here we are.
Right. Okay. So I have a lot of questions. First of
Okay.
all, it seems that you, um, I mean, do you feel like that influence of, not feeling necessarily right on a skateboard because other girls weren't doing it? Do you think that's an influence of your mom, or is that something that is kind of an internal thing because your mom didn't want you to play hockey
Yeah.
or I mean, like, how did you even pick up a skateboard in the first place if that was such an influence?
I had I had these two neighbor or three. There was like the Edgars. They were my neighbors, and they were so cool. Like I just remember being like, they're so cool. They had like the ramps and the rails, and they had all these things. They had a long driveway, and they would just like, I don't know, like skate and bike and like rollerblade, like inline, like do all this shit on their driveway. And I would just like go hang out there like all the time. And I was just like so influenced by that. They started playing hockey, and so that's like I would like play like driveway hockey with them. And then I was like, I want to start playing hockey. So then I started playing hockey. And at this time, Actually, it's funny. I really wanted to play hockey, but my mom wouldn't let me. And then
Hmm.
they let my brother play, and like I would fight them all the time on it. I was like, I want to play, I want to play, and then they finally let me play. And I was like okay at other sports. I could like do it, but once it got to a level where like hockey was like the one thing that I was like good at. Like that was the one sport that I was like I got this. Like I was so young, but at the same time like I don't know. I just remember it like I had like have the most awards from hockey, like stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then so when I couldn't do it, I was like bummed, but at the same time, and I don't know if it was an influence from my mom being like she didn't want me to do it, or if it was like the social aspect of
Right.
like also no other girls played hockey, or like I don't know, getting to the age where I was like I want to fit in. It's really weird because I guess I like back then I didn't really think about that, but I reflecting now, I would say that was more of why I stopped, opposed to my mom being like, it's too dangerous. I mean, that was a bit, I mean, at the time I was probably like 14. Of course, she has like the toll of what I do, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, I got into that. I was like rollerblading first, like, and so my brother and I and my neighbors, there was like a group of neighbors of us, and we'd like rollerblade, and we had like the like 1080 ramps and like all the
Hmm.
kickers and like
Yes.
the like terrible rails that would like you like jump on and they just like slide with you, like they
Yeah.
weren't stationary. We were like out there like waxing all our curbs and
I used
doing
to
everything at like such
rollerblade
a
as
young
well.
age. Yeah, and it was so and like that was the thing. I don't know how I got into skateboarding. It's got to be from the boys, like when they were like they stopped rollerblading and they just started skating, and I'm like that's what's cool. Like I want to do that, and it was just so hard that I just like
Yeah.
wanted to get good at it. So I miss those days. I remember like we probably like the deck right outside my front. You open my front door, and then you probably have like a 6 to 7 foot like walkway, narrow walkway, and then a 3 stair into a fence. Like it wasn't skate. You don't skate there. But I remember like my neighbors would come over and we'd like butt our skateboards up to the door jam, and like
Mm,
run from inside my house, jump on the skateboard, and like try to ollie the stairs. Like
no
it
way.
was yeah. Like stuff like that. Like I miss that. I wish I would have stuck with that all through my life, opposed to I don't know, listening to other people, I guess.
Well, I mean, maybe you needed to step away to realize that it's what you really like to do.
Yeah, yeah. I completely forgot about it. It's so wild. Like, it's pretty wild. You stop doing something and your brain kind of like alters and conforms to like who you're around or where you are or
Yeah, absolutely.
what you think is right or wrong. And it's interesting.
Yeah. And so when you moved to, do you move to Salt Lake or right? Or you
Yeah,
said you moved to Utah. So you moved to Salt Lake from California, correct?
correct. Yep. I moved there. That was the first time leaving home. And I'm still here. So, first and only time leaving home. At the time when I moved to Utah, like when I was gonna move to Utah, I was like, I'm gonna play like community college basketball and like try to like get scholarshiped out of there and like I was taking like health nutrition classes. So
You were going to try to get a scholarship in basketball?
but I was like good in high school, and then when I went to college, I was like, it was crazy. Like it's a whole nother level, and I was just like, like it's
Right.
not for me. Like at that point, like my mind was on snowboarding, and I think that's where it wanted to go. So I lost complete interest in like basketball and just like decided I was like gonna move to Utah, get my residency, snowboard a little bit, go to school, and then maybe like I don't know, work in the industry or do like. Remember talking to my dad about maybe being like a physical therapist, like that travels with like the Olympic team or something, and like
Right. So at this point, at the point of moving to Utah, you were like snowboarding was like you loved it and
I
you
I
wanted to
knew
just
nothing
be
about
around
it,
it.
but I wanted to learn about it. I knew nothing about it. I remember watching like moving here. Yeah, I literally knew nothing about it. Um, which was kind of nice, like in a way. Like it's so cool to be like to look back at like no, I remember this might have been like 2 months, 2 or 3 months after moving here, and I was watching a snowboard movie with Corinne Pasella, and I remember her like, and I'm just like watching, and I like have no idea what's going on. I'm like, I think someone was doing like a boardside 270, and she like called the trick out, and I was like, how do you know what that is? And like
Hmm.
now, I mean, now you like do something for so long, you can recognize it, like if someone's riding switch or whatever, like what trick they're doing. I still have a hard time when people are like spinning through the air 4 times flipping. I don't have that answer yet, but
Yeah, very impressed by the people who can live announce those contests. It's
real.
insane.
I am also very impressed. I'm like, that is some skill. Like I just like watch it and I like get dizzy. Like I don't know what's
Yeah.
up or down. But it's just so crazy. Like moving here, and I moved here because I like snowboarding. I wanted to get out. At this point, the guy I was dating and I had broken up, and we were like kind of talking about like moving out of California. And so when we broke up, I was like, well, I'm still gonna go. So it was between Utah or Colorado. I chose Utah. Um, and yeah, I've just been here ever since, and I've learned so much. And like, luckily, when I moved here, I just like kind of like fell into the niche of the right people. Like, I got really lucky, like right place at the right time, and the connection I've made since being here has helped me grow and like develop a love and skill set for what I'm doing now, and it's really cool. I wouldn't want it any other way. I think there's a reason that I moved here, and it's cool. No
Yeah,
complaints.
for sure. It's all seems to be falling into place. I mean, you got 2 awards this year, right?
Yeah, I don't know how that one happened, but that is a fact.
Well, I
Yes.
mean, you had an amazing part last year.
Uh-oh,
Um,
I'm losing you.
I was just saying you had an amazing part last year, so I'm not surprised at all.
Thank
Honestly, when I saw it, I knew you were getting something. I wasn't sure if it was gonna
thank you,
be
Jesse.
like, yeah. So, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Um, I'm curious, like, when you started taking classes in Utah, you were just doing generals, right? You had no real long term plan or anything. You just wanted to get out there, change it up,
Yes,
right?
exactly. I actually, when I moved here, I was still enrolled in the community college back home, so I was just taking online courses, and I think I had like maybe like 6 more classes or so, maybe like 10, and then I was taking classes in the summer, still through Moorpark College, where I'm from. But they stopped offering the courses I needed online, so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna take this time, like take a year off and like work and save money, get residency, I guess. And my dad was kind of skeptical about that at the time. But now I'm back in school, and I transferred over to
Oh, you are.
Slick, and yeah, I am. I'm just taking online courses though, just because I was going for just like my business associates, so then I could like transfer to the U or something like that. Given this was like 4 years ago when this was my plan. And then I was going to graduate out of there and then get a job and see where that goes. But about the time where they stopped offering my courses was the time that I was getting really, really into snowboarding and like wanting to like make it, see how far I could push it. And, that's what I wanted to do. So it kind of gave me the time to like focus on that. But recently I've decided that I put the time and the effort into going to school previously and the money. And if I want to, I don't want to just waste it. So I just decided, I was like, oh, I'll just finish my degree out and just get my generals done, like nothing major, but at least I'll have
Yeah.
that certificate. So when I'm ready to go back to school, then I could do that.
Yeah, it's a good platform. It's a good base, and like especially with the amount of time that we have in the off season, you've
Yeah,
got time to do that, and I think it's a really smart idea, and it's not like it's expensive. And honestly, like, I mean, for me at least, it's kind of cool to have something like that, that something that you show up to every day, and you're around, you're doing stuff, and you feel like you're bettering yourself, especially at the end of it, and then you move on into the winter again. It's just kind of an exciting process.
totally. I
Um,
would say that I felt like my brain, I wasn't using my brain as much as I wanted to.
right,
And,
right.
and I still find the lack there sometimes, but like going back to school, it's fun. It's interesting, like reading about things that I'm at the point now in my classes where I could learn about the things that I want to learn about. So it's fun. I really enjoy it. It's a different challenge,
What are the
kind of splits
things?
up the routine.
Yeah, what are the things you want to learn about?
Well, I don't know. I actually took a environmental science class a couple years ago, and I remember like going. This was actually still when I was in California, and I hated it at first. I was like, I didn't know, I wasn't really snowboarding at the time. I was just like, still, I wasn't doing my part at all. Didn't care. Like honestly, didn't care. Didn't even like comprehend why I should care. But then something like clicked like halfway through that semester, like maybe even a little bit before then, where I'm just like, oh, this stuff is like real. Like
Mm,
this is like this like makes or breaks society and the earth and the world, and it's like important, and it's also so cool to know about. Like I'll never forget like driving to Vegas or like driving to Utah. You pass like a bunch of different like solar energy plants. Like you just like pass all these things that you learn about in this class, and you like people are like, oh, like I have a little sister. She's like, what's that? And like being able to explain like what that kind of stuff is and like how that's beneficial and like how it's us putting effort into that and its return is so important. It's really cool. Like so environmental science, I'm really interested in. I could totally be better at it. Like I'm not saying like
we all could.
Like renewable energy sources, stuff like that. Whatever. There's so much more. The list goes on. That was kind of a while ago, but that stuff still interests me. Lately, like I think like I've just registered for some courses, and there's like a gender studies class that I'm like interested in. Also I guess currently the economy, like that's kind of interesting given what's happening at the moment.
We're in an unprecedented time right now for that.
Yeah. So I'm excited. Last semester I took a course on like natural disasters, which was really interesting. There was like, especially living in Utah, we're like on like a 240-mile fault line. So that's terrifying.
And you guys recently had an earthquake.
So I took that class.
You guys,
we did, which I had a breakdown. I was like, I need to get out of here. Like this shit is nuts. Like just because there's been a predicted earthquake here. I mean, it could be tomorrow, it could be in 100 years, but they're like, it was going to destroy humanity in Salt Lake City. I'm like, great. Wow.
Well, there's one in Los Angeles as well that's predicted called the Big One, and it's going to be very catastrophic. And yeah, sometimes we had a couple earthquakes a few months ago, and there was one that I really felt, and I've never felt one like that before. And I too was like, wait, should we even be living here? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. It's so crazy. Just like a sliver, something that you don't think about and at all, really. Like, it's there, like in the back of your head. And then all of a sudden, like you get like a little like tease of it. And then all of a sudden you're like reconsidering everything. But then at the same time, it's like, are you going to live your life like that? Like, are you going to allow something? Right. Are you going to allow like a chance of something happening to determine like how you live your day-to-day life? And that's like something that I've decided that I'm not going to do. I'm going to like continue to fulfill my life with what I want to do and like my goals and my dreams and such. But not gonna lie, it is scary. Like the night after, I'm like laying in bed and I'm like, okay, maybe I should like pack a bag. Like I like got like a bunch of like food for Sammy together. Sammy's my dog. Food for Sammy. Like I put like shoes. Like I was like, I can't run, if there's an earthquake, like I can't run out barefoot. So like I got like my shoes ready and like my car keys and like I actually prepared. And that's probably, I would say I like prepared myself for this because of the natural disasters class that I took this fall. Like so I did learn, like it is interesting. Like it does help,
That's cool.
Yeah,
we after the earthquakes here, we got a couple like emergency bags and have some canned food and like water stored underneath some random places in case we like get stuck or something. Like
being responsible,
right?
Transforming into the adults that we are these days. It's weird.
Yeah. And you had mentioned that there was a thought in your mind that maybe you wanted to be a physical therapist. Is that something you've thought about much more than just that initial thought? Or like, do you have an interest in that kind of stuff? Do you work out?
Yeah. So actually, I mean, oh God, when I think about the career of being a physical therapist, that sounds cool. Like I would love to do it. That stuff interests me like to the next level. Like when I'll like research and like rack the brains of my physical therapist, like when I go there, and like they're always like, how do you know this? And so like it really interests me, like the human body interests me a lot. But when I think of doing it as a career and I think about all the like hours of schooling that you have to put into it, like that pushes me so far away from the idea that I just kind of like shut it out. But I obsess over it. I actually like pay for an app on my phone that like, I don't know what it's called. Let me find out. But it basically you can like add like all the different muscle groups, like everything. And it just like gives you a breakdown of like what's going on in your body and like how, like workouts for like certain muscles. And especially with injuries, like it's called Complete Anatomy Platform. But it's interesting because like it gives like it's so hard for me to believe a doctor. I guess that's what I'm getting at. So the more I know, the safer and better I feel about like being healthier in the future. And like that's such a being healthy and staying healthy in snowboarding and just in life in general is so important that I feel like whether it interests me or not, like, or interests you or not, or whoever, like it's important to learn about and like know about, because at the end of the day, it like, is your body, and you should be able to understand and comprehend what's going on within, you know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's been a few times where I have been like, oh man, all this stuff like, health, nutrition, every kind of body work, exercise, all that stuff interests me so much. But yeah, I've teetered on like, do I want to go deeper into this stuff? But then I'm like, oh, actually, it's just, I'm so interested in it because it's something that I experience on a daily basis. Like
Sure.
I want to live healthy so that I can do everything that I want to do. I don't want to live healthy just so that I know about living healthy and like keep,
Yep.
perpetuating that. Like there are other things I want to do in life, but I think it's something that everybody could benefit from knowing more about for
Losing you.
sure. Oh, you hear me now?
Yeah. Repeat that again. Everybody can what?
I just was saying, I think everybody could benefit from knowing a little bit more. And yeah, I mean, you can't trust a Western medical doctor with your entire body. I mean, they're very specialized, and for the right circumstances, they are, the best person in the world to help you. But in so many other areas, like they're just not, like people like chiropractors and massage therapists and physical therapists and acupuncture, like all those are very different specific things that they know much more than a Western medical doctor would know about. And it's
Absolutely.
just this whole big picture. So that's cool that,
Yeah,
that you're on
I
top of that
definitely
stuff.
obsess over like fitness. Well, also before snowboarding, I would say like end of my high school career, like going to snowboarding, I was obsessed with like fitness. Like that was like what I would do.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is fun. Like I like learning about. I like to see how like my body changes and how bodies change, and like how you can, like I used to like try to write my own routines and stuff like that. But it's just so interesting. I think later in life, like I don't think I will be like a physical therapist by any means, but I definitely want to like carry out like my conscious physical activity, and like maybe I don't know, maybe trainer, like more of a trainer
Right.
seems more applicable to like what I'm doing, or a specified trainer about sports, I guess. Or
Yeah. So do you work out regularly?
Well, I normally do. It gets a little bit trickier, when you're traveling around and filming, but
Yeah.
leading up to filming, I definitely do. In the summer times, I do. Like on top of like skating every day, like I definitely skateboard every day. When I'm not snowboarding, like there's times in winter when I'm obviously not, but unless I'm too sore, like I'll probably go outside and skate every day. But yeah, I really enjoy it. It's something that I feel like I need. Like helps me stay calm and like balanced, helps me like carry out a balance in my life, and it's really important to me. And I also feel like, kind of touching back to when you're like, well, when I'm reading a book, I feel like I should be doing something else. Like if I'm not moving, I feel like I need to move,
Yeah, totally. And you, when I was talking to Jeremy Jones, he said that you were going to his gym. Were you doing that regularly?
Yeah. So we were doing that 3 times a week, and that was so cool. Like I wish we were doing it now, but unfortunately we can't. But like that kind of stuff, like kind of like meatheady, but it was so awesome. And
Yeah.
like the product, like I've always been into that kind of stuff. Like as jockey as it might be, like it really works and it helps. And I haven't felt this year, I felt like the most stable and like in tune on my snowboard than I ever have. And I gotta say that it's gotta have to do something with the way I was training preseason. I think it's super important. Like like you gotta build up the muscle to be able to like take the impact and what you're doing when you're traveling and filming and just snowboarding at a resort or anything. So I think it's very important. I need to get into a workout plan right now that I have all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of home workout stuff, a lot of body weight exercises. I got this book called Use Her. I think maybe this is just the subtitle. I'll have to look, but it's like use the body you have to build the body you want. Hey, just interjecting here for the listeners. The book is called You Are Your Own Gym by Mark Lauren, and the subtitle is Use the Body You Have to Build the Body You Want, the Rapid Results Method.
Okay, I like that.
And yeah, and it's just this guy who used to train special operations military people,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, and it's like it's got seriously probably like 500 different exercises that you can do with minimal to no equipment at all, like everything you can do at home. And
Okay,
I've been
I like that.
I've been starting this like 10-week program that's in there that you do 4 exercises or 4 days a week you're exercising.
Okay.
And I am blown away. I mean, I've done a lot of body weight stuff for years because that's usually how I, you know, kind
Yeah.
of stay on top of it while I'm traveling. And just, I have a hard time paying for a gym membership just because I'm not home very often.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it's unbelievable how sore I've been getting and how I just feel really good and strong. It's cool because, yeah, we have so much time that I'm just
Yeah. I
diving
want to
into
hear
it. But
more about that. That's interesting because that's something that I would like to get a lot into. I definitely like. I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum where I like to go, like, have a place to go to work out. Like, it's very difficult for me to
yeah,
work out at home.
it's
I like
taken me,
obsess over form. So, like, if I don't have a
yeah,
mirror, like, it's really difficult for me. Or just like an energy of like going somewhere and being like, I'm here to work out. Like, this is my
yeah,
job while I'm here. Like, I'm going to go there. It's like working from home or doing school
yeah,
from home.
yeah. It's taken me
But
many,
it's,
many years to be productive at home in that way. Like it is so hard to really schedule out the time and really push it working out when you're at home because yeah, when you're somewhere, even if you don't feel like doing it, you show up and you're like, well, it's not like I'm going to leave before I get this
yeah,
done and I'm here. So
yeah,
I'm in it. And you're around a bunch of people who are also doing it. And there's that energy where when
yep,
you're at home and your roommate is just like sitting on the couch watching TV and you're just like killing yourself. Like, what? I don't want to do this at all. Like, this is the last
yeah.
thing I want to be doing. But,
I'm not trying to do push ups in front of my roommate while they're watching TV.
exactly. That's another thing. Is like I mean, that's the hardest part for me about traveling. Is like if I'm not alone, is the most awkward thing to be working out and like other
Yes.
people are just hanging out. It's just it doesn't really work out. But
Yeah.
no pun intended there. Uh,
It's so fun. No, I love it. I could definitely be better at it. That and on top of eating healthy, I could be better at things. I think we all could improve on a lot
yeah.
of things, but those are
Oh,
two
for
things on
sure.
my list that I'll
Yeah.
slip up every once in a while for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Well, I will definitely. I'll share that book with you because
Yeah.
it's been. I mean, even so it's not just the exercises and the programs. It also half the book is like a book. He's talking about his experience as a trainer and like a lot busting a lot of myths and things like that about strength training and why for the most part it's superior to cardio and stuff like that. And it's just
Okay.
really engaging and interesting. And by the end of the part that you're reading, which is not very long, so I'm sure you could do
So
it.
I got it. I got this.
But by the end of the time you're reading it, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Here we go,
Okay.
and
I like, yeah,
it's really
please
cool.
do.
And I've
Please do.
been getting Ashley to do it as well. It's cool because it has like 4 or 5 different tiers, like levels.
Okay.
That it basically is like if you can do all these exercises, then you're in this class. If you can do all
Okay.
these ones, then you're in this class. And so you you test them out. And if you can't complete all the exercises, then you can't graduate up to that one until you
Okay.
can. And so it's really cool and meticulous and yeah, you can do it all at home. So it's awesome. But
Yeah, I feel like that kind of stuff is so important because I feel like a lot of people get turned off to exercising because they like I don't like because sometimes things are a little bit tricky and I feel like it's
yeah,
so important to like find what works for you. Like
yeah,
for example, I don't really like cardio and so I don't really do it as much as maybe I should and to some degree like like I just dig a little deeper and find something that works for myself is like so
hmm
important and it's cool. So I think there's
yeah,
something out there for everybody like,
absolutely.
everybody.
And the thing that is this book is helping me to realize is that you really it's really important to start somewhere that is easy enough that you can actually feel like you're accomplishing something, but hard
Sure.
enough where at the end of it, you feel like you feel sore and you're getting stronger and you're actually building muscle. And for instance, Ashley's been doing it with me, my wife, for those who don't know. And
Congrats,
she,
by the way. I know I told
yeah,
you that,
thank you. She's been doing a level underneath the level that I've been doing. And um, on the push-up day or on the arm day, instead of doing push-ups like normal push-ups, she's doing push-ups from her knees. And she's always tried to get into doing push-ups and stuff, but she can only do so many. And you can't really, when it's that hard to even get up to 10 or whatever, you're not really gonna, it's hard to motivate yourself like, oh, I can't even do push-ups, this is useless. And but when you're doing them on your knees and you're actually getting sore and building strength, but it's easy enough where you feel like you can do a lot of reps, she's like getting way more motivated. And we've also been, the beginning of the program is these sets called ladders. Have you ever heard of this? Where you like,
I know ladders in the sense of like you're building on top, like you go like 2, 4, 6,
yeah,
like
and I've never
6, 4, 2.
really, I don't know a whole lot about exercise programming and things like that, but I've never really done ladders before. And like the amount more, just to keep going with the push-up example, instead of doing 3 sets of however many push-ups, when you're doing ladders where you do 1 and then you rest, and then you do 2 and then you rest, and every time, the more time it takes, like when you're doing 10 push-ups and you rest for the amount of time that it took to do 10, then you go until you can't, you feel like if you did 1 more you would fail, and then you bring it back down. And ultimately the amount of push-ups you can do is so much more than if you were just doing 3 sets. And so
Yeah.
it's
It's a
just,
mental
it's
game.
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
also learned, like, going to the gym with Jeremy, that is one thing that I learned, is that rest is also important, especially when you're pushing your body to extremes. Like,
yeah.
rest is super important, and that's not only when you're working out. I think in general, like, rest is like a crucial element to like being able to continue on doing what you're doing, like whether it's during a workout, whether it's when you get back from a trip, whether it's you feeling tired one day and just like making the mature decision to be like, I'm not going to do anything today because my body and mind needs it. So important.
And it really is a mature decision, and it's not easy to make a lot of times,
No,
especially
I'm
like,
terrible at it.
yeah. I mean, why is it that we feel like we're a piece of shit when we just are chilling, like when we need to
Yeah.
chill, it's weird.
Yeah.
But,
Find the inner peace of mind, I guess, is what we're all searching for.
yeah. Well, can you bring me through a typical day at the gym with Jeremy? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, for sure. So it's really cool. So it's, first of all, it's like all black in there, which is interesting. That's like the first thing I noticed when I walked in, is like loud music. But I like that. It's a really cool energy. But you go in there and it's basically just like barbells. It looks like a CrossFit gym. I don't know if that's what it is. The guy who owns it, Paul, he's really cool. He's like a trainer / like firefighter, and he basically like has his station and like trains his station there, and they all work together. And a lot of like erg machines. So like the ones, I actually don't know like the correct terms or whatever, but like the fan bikes, or like we do a lot of like calorie-based workouts which kick your ass. Like I never thought, like I'd never
calorie-based workouts. What do you mean?
So like, for example, so one of the ones we would do, so the fan bike is one. There's this thing called the ski, which is like, it's just like it's like a standing platform, I guess you could say, or like and it has like these strings coming out the top of it, one in each hand, and you like pull it down, and like you work on your breathing, and it's just like all calorie based. So basically what we would do, we'd do like a third of our body weight in calories, something like that.
Okay.
And it would be like, okay, cool. So you have to like burn off, like we'll do like 4 sets or something. You have to burn off 30 calories a time or whatever. And you're just like going down, or 12. A lot of the times that's a lot. 30 is kind of a lot, but like say it was like 12 to 18, and you would like, depending on, and it's interesting because, or the row, have you ever used the row machine?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. That's an example of like an erg machine, and it's
Okay.
based off of, and so we like work down calories and stuff like that. But in between like doing, like kettlebell workouts and stuff like that, and you'd work a lot with a partner, which is really cool. But basically you go in there and we do a warm up with like a kettlebell. We'd have like, there'd be like a warm up with like 6 things, whether it would be like just like you're like inchworming out, or and then you're doing like some kettlebell workouts, you're doing squats, you're doing some like good mornings, like stuff like that, some simple body work slash like maybe like lightweight work at the beginning, and then it gets into something more like you would do like squats or like front squats, back squats, like cleans, like different things like that. But nothing like like the cool thing about it was you could do it how you wanted to do it. So like whether your goal was like build muscle, you could do that, or your goal was like stability, or your goal was to get like lean muscle, or higher reps, lighter weights, higher reps, stuff like that. It was really cool, and like to have the support of the guys. It was like Jeremy, Wiz, Pat, like Tonino, like we had a bunch of like
It's a good
Sage,
crew.
Pale. It really is, and like everybody like push each other, and it's just really cool. And like watching those guys do it like gave me the motivation. I was like, I could do this, like and I never like really worked on like my pull-ups in the correct form, and like I could do like one like when I started, and it was really cool. It was like the quickest.
How many can you do now?
Oh, I probably could do one. I haven't done them, and I haven't gone to the, but by the end, I think I could do like 5, which I was stoked on.
Nice, that's awesome.
I mean, I could have done 5 if I like didn't go all the way down, and now
okay.
I'm like, okay, like this is actually what I need to do. This is actually what counts as a pull up or whatever.
Yeah.
But push-ups, definitely been getting better at push-ups. We would do like bear crawls. Oh, we would do the thing where we like, I don't actually know the names of them, but like we would do football workouts, like push the rack with like the weights on it. And I remember like pushing, I think we pushed like 400 pounds once, like down and back. And I was just like, at the beginning, I was like, there's no way I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to bail out. But like with their support and like just me being like, I got this. Like, it's just like one last time, like down and back, like, let's go. And it was fun. It's like, it's so cool. Cause like you like have these doubts and then you like break through them. And then next time you go in and you're like, oh, I could do this, just like it's building on top of each other. Like Dawn and the push-ups, like it's like once you build that platform, like you're just going to get better, you're never going to get worse from doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's something about strength training specifically that like you said, you're pushing through and you develop this confidence in your body that I think really translates and permeates through the rest of your life. And I mean, not only are you actually building the strength and stability that can help things like skating and snowboarding, but you're building the confidence in your body that, if you take a bail, you're going to be okay. Or, you just feel more, I don't know, in tune and alive, I guess.
Absolutely. So I had shoulder surgery, I think in like 2017, and since then, like for those 3 years up until this year, so 2.5 years, like I had never felt the stability in my shoulder. And, I was like doing the exercises I was told to do. I was like going to the gym, but it wasn't until I was like pushing myself and like doing like actual strength training. Like this year, I didn't even notice it. And I think that has to do with like me pushing my mental boundaries past the point of like what I thought I could do. It also physically as well, but just being able to like mentally get past that. Like I don't even like think about it being an issue anymore. Like I'm not hesitant of going fast, like attacking something. It's more or less like I just feel like a lot more powerful, and like having that sense of power is so important. Like I don't know how I did anything before having that sense, like.
Yeah. And so are you saying before you would think about your shoulder and that would be kind of like in your mind as you're snowboarding and maybe you wouldn't try certain things because of that?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Literally riding down the hill, like if I was like hitting a speed that I was like at a point where I'm like, if I were to just like catch on anything, like if a freak accident were to happen, or like I had to like cut around, freak accident, or, I just fall, like accidents happen. Like my shoulder isn't strong enough to like withstand what I'm about to do to it, And since going to that gym and like working out and like pushing the limits with my body and mind, I don't even think about that anymore. Like I feel like, wow. And that's like so crazy, because it's like, it's never, when you're injured, it's like, when am I going to feel better? When am I going to feel better? And it's like, you don't actually feel better until you stop thinking about it. And that's kind of hard that's hard. Like sometimes it takes years. Yeah. Like it took me almost 3 years of my shoulder, and it took me like, I mean, I also broke my ankle after my shoulder surgery, a year after, and like it still bugs me, but like I would say that I don't think about it as much as I did. And I feel like when you get injured, like you never think that's going to go away, but it does.
Mm-hmm. Right. I'm surprised. Oh yeah, I know. I'm surprised every time I like really bail and I'm like, oh my God, this hurts so bad. And it's hard to imagine how it could not hurt anymore.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, it's
I've
so
said it a
hard. It's
million
scary.
times. Like when I broke my leg, I couldn't even conceive of the fact that someday I could walk on it again. Like it's
Yeah.
just crazy. But
Yeah.
what?
You had a quite the
Yeah,
traumatic
yeah, that was
experience.
a rough one. But so what happened with your shoulder?
Like when did like how
Yeah,
I
what'd you
dislocated
do?
it?
Yeah.
So stupid. I dislocated it a couple years ago. I was like riding around Brighton with Mia, and it was just like a weird day. Like, you wake up and you like go snow. One of those days where you're like, I probably shouldn't go snowboarding, but I'm gonna go because I feel like I need to be productive.
Right.
Definitely one of
Should
those
have chilled
days.
that day.
Should have should have chilled, that's for sure. But that's okay. You live and you learn. But it was a really weird storm for Utah. It was like heavy. It was almost like a PNW storm, and the snow was really weird. And I just like caught weird. It was like this. It was just gross out. Caught, whipped, smacked. And then Mia was like trying to. I was like, Mia, I need you to put my shoulder back in, and she was like,
Oh,
this
so
that.
you dislocated
It
it.
was out. It was out for like an hour and a half. Like
Oh,
I had never dislocated before, so I was just like, I don't know how, but like just like you got to do something.
push it in there.
And like I don't know, Google it. So we're like, I'm just like laying in the middle of
Oh
the run,
no.
like nobody around, and because nobody was there, it was such a shitty day. No one was there, and I'm like, Mia, just Google it. She's like, I can't do it. So I ended up going down with ski patrol, and they put it in, but it was unfortunate, and it was like super bad to the point where I think it was like 98% torn my labrum. Like I couldn't even stick my hand out the window of my car without it like subluxing, basically.
What
Like while
does a
moving, it
sublux
is.
mean?
It
Subluxing?
basically means like slipping out of place. So
Okay.
your labrum is like the tissue that holds your like your shoulder in the socket or whatever. And when it's torn, it like acts as like the best way I can explain it is like it acts as like a gasket, as if you were to like plug your bathtub. You know, so like that black rubber gasket, like if
Yeah.
there's a rip in it, water leaks through, or it's like weaker. So that's essentially what a labrum works as, like a suction cup to keep your arm in. And when it's torn, it's just like it's a lot easier for it to like sublux, which means just like slip out of place or do like a little like whoa, like just kind of like drops or something like that. Doesn't feel good. I hope you never have to experience it. But so mine was just like to the point where I couldn't do anything without it, like just like redislocating it. And every time you redislocate, it gets worse and worse. And so yeah, I ended up having surgery like halfway through the summer.
And when they do the surgery, do they stitch the labrum back up? Is that what it is? Or
They basically like you have like anchors in like mine was I think it was called a Latarjet. No, Bankart. Latarjet is when they do like a bone fusion. Griffin Siebert has had that. They like put a bone in front of your arm that keeps your shoulder from popping out. Yeah, it's wild.
whoa.
But mine was a Bankart. So what they do is they put anchors like in your like femoral head and in your, I'm not too sure the name of it, but like basically like your body, like if you would imagine like your body and your arm being separate, they put anchors in like your shoulder, the head of your shoulder and like your torso, I guess, and they like stitch it together, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So like basically like my arm is like my shoulder's like sewed into place at this point.
Right.
And then yeah, a year went by, and in August I had dislocated it, and I thought I was
The
done
same
for
one?
good. Same one.
Oh.
But since then, and that's when I was like, okay, like I need to actually take this seriously, like, and that's why that's when my like strength workout plan, like everything I started taking like a little bit more seriously, because as an athlete, snowboarding or whatever sport you're doing, like you're gonna get hurt. And I was actually just having this conversation with somebody the other day. It's like, you can't expect to like do this as a profession or do skateboarding, snowboarding, I don't know, golfing, for anything. You can't expect to like do something where you're using your body to such a like high potential or something that you can't, like, you're gonna get hurt, and you just need to know how to like deal with it. And it's mentally exhausting, but it's something that you work through for sure.
I mean, it's like when you're writing or drawing with a pencil, it's gonna get dull, and you got to keep sharpening it. Otherwise, you're not gonna have much left.
Yeah. So it's takes time and energy, and but it's worth it. I mean, being able to push through and persevere is so important, and I think that is like a huge like make or break factor in like what we do. Is like it's how you like respond to the adversity that's thrown your way, or like the injuries, or like the bridges you have to cross. And it's cool because like once you come back from an injury, like looking back on that injury is just like, it's almost like this feeling of like, I did it, I pushed through, like a reassurance of passion in a way, if that makes sense. Like my life, like I struggled with like, I would do something for like 3 years tops, and that was it, and like I've been snowboarding now for like 7 years, and almost 8 years, I want to say. And it's so cool to like have that and like be like, oh, this is like I feel like a sense of purpose by doing it. And I've like made it over so many milestones without quitting or without giving up or something like that. And I just, it's cool. It's like a nice,
That's
humbling
awesome.
feeling, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look back at the injuries and the adversity, and it becomes a positive thing. It
Yeah,
becomes a triumph, and it builds mental strength. Like
for
when
sure.
you're in it, you're in the trenches and it sucks. But then, yeah, on the other side of it, it's almost better that it happened and then you went through that
Yeah. Yeah. You
in
grow
a
so
weird
much as a
way.
person, physically, mentally, all the above. It's cool. It's life.
It's life. Yeah, that's awesome. Um, yeah. So, you said you kind of stay on top of nutrition stuff. What do you eat like typically? Like, give me a couple standard breakfasts, or
Okay.
like, what'd
Standard
you eat
breakfast.
this
Well,
morning?
this morning I made one of my like go-to things to make because I just feel like it's so easy. It's like I'm not that nutritious, let me tell you. Like I am cautious. Okay. Well, let me start with telling you. Yesterday I had 2 donuts, about 4 Reese's peanut butter cups from Trader Joe's, and like 2 mochi. I will take a nosedive really quick, But
Yeah.
when I'm like on top of it and like working out and like in my routine, like I'll do like this morning I had like I'll make a little scramble with like broccoli, bell peppers, and eggs. Sometimes I'll just do like I don't like fruit, which is like an interesting thing. So like a smoothie really isn't
Mm.
on my list, on my menu. But I'll do like protein shakes if I'm working out or like doing something. I like to like use those appropriately. I don't do it enough. But as far as like dinners go, I would do like I really like well, for a lot of my life I would do like grilled chicken breast, veggies, stuff like that, like brown rice, kind of just like wholesome
Yep.
stuff. But lately I never thought I would like vegetarian stuff, but I'm like slowly starting to
Mm.
dive into like more like I don't know, I guess like tofu based products or just like non like all like more veggie products, and it's like way I
Yeah.
feel a lot better. I never thought I would say that, but you heard it here first, I guess.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Do you eat red meat at all, or
I
just
do.
kind of
Yeah,
here and
I
there?
do eat red,
Right.
but I
Yeah.
don't, not often, I would
Right.
say. Like
And
I like the other night like I did make like turkey burgers, like
yeah.
clean turkey burgers and like that, and I just like had the patty and I made veggies with it, and like I really like sweet chili oil or the
Oh,
chili, not oil,
yeah. The
you know what I'm talking about, the
yeah,
like
like the chili paste stuff. Yeah.
yeah, the chili, it's so good. And like I just put that on right now. I've just been like putting that on everything. I don't know if it's because I'm like freaking out that the world's ending, or I'm just like I'm just gonna like make whatever and just like put this sauce on it or what. But
Right. It's a time of indulgence for sure.
yeah, I
Ashley's been
think
making
that's
cookies
why
like every
actually.
day, and yeah, just like I've been using a lot of hot sauce now that you say that. Just kind of, we got to spice up life a little bit right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
seriously. But I try like I guess I'm not like the most nutritious person, but I try like if I have an option to be, I will choose the option to be, if that makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And when you say you're kind of starting to do a little bit more vegetarian stuff here and there, is that just what's the motivation there?
So, like while I was traveling a couple years back, my parents got me a Christmas present where it was like those like delivery meals, or like they would like send food to your house and you would cook them.
Yeah.
And those were really cool because I would get like 2 a week, and like that was just enough because I could make it and then have leftovers if I needed, but I wasn't like overspending on food and I wasn't wasting food. But then as I started doing it, I started getting like grossed out by the meat that was like getting sent, and just the idea of it like being in a box, like I guess the idea, like when I really think about it, kind of grosses me out, but it is convenient. But that is the main reason that's pushed me to like try other type of products, like stay away from the meat and like I don't know, the like preservatives that they like put in it, and like just like sometimes it just like smells like ammonia, and I'm just like, this is weird,
Oof.
like I don't think I need to be eating this. And so that's really pushed me to do it. And then also like I had a chicken pad thai, my friend had a tofu pad thai. I tried the pad thai with tofu, and I was like, it tastes literally the same. It made me better. So
Right.
that is another reason why. But nothing crazy. Like, I mean, I'm in full support of like animals and the earth, and not destroying it, and like they're there for a purpose. But at the same time, like it just kind of grosses me out
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah. Right.
But don't get me wrong, I do eat. I still will eat meat. I still do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just cutting back.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said you've been snowboarding for like 7 years. Is that right?
Yeah, I'd say between 7 and 8. Working on 8.
And so how the hell did you get so good so fast?
Wouldn't say that. I think I think I'm an idiot.
You definitely send it harder than a lot of people that I know.
I
That's
think I'm
for
an
sure.
idiot. I think actually like growing up from a young age, like knowing how to skateboard and like just like learning how to drop it, like I understood momentum at such a young age that it helped, I think. But also me being an idiot, like just kind of
Also understanding momentum on slippery surfaces with hockey, I'm sure that translated a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah. I've always liked going fast,
Hmm.
so I think that translated as well, like just like movement and always like it's always been like a thing. Like I used to like have my dogs, like I had 2 big dogs. They'd like pull me on my skateboard all over my neighborhood, like all around, for like miles. And I loved it. Like, and my dad, it would get to the point where my dad would be like, okay, well, you're not going to be able to just like jump off because you're going so fast. So just like find the nearest grass and like sit down or something. But I think that definitely helped. And also just like my drive, like I always want to, I get bored if I'm not like getting better. And I think that helps a lot. Like always wanting to like push push myself to like learn new things. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say that you're more motivated by your own desire to get better than anything else in
I
snowboarding?
would.
I mean, that's like, because I feel like, yeah, I feel like for me, that's how you get really good at anything is not
Yeah.
really, you're not trying to, reach some point that other people think you should be at. You're just, every day you go out, you're trying to do something a little bit better for yourself.
For sure. Definitely. I would say though, or I will say that like there still are pressures of like, especially when you get to a certain point, like people expect things from you. I mean, I'm sure you understand this as well, but that's okay, especially if you're in the mindset of like you also want to progress and like you want to push it. So it's important to do so. Like I think like once you're satisfied or with what you're doing, I think that's when you kind of like start to come to a halt. And I will be the first one to tell you, like, there's nothing I do that I'm like completely satisfied with. Like, there's always something that I could fix. It's always something that I could do better. And I think that plays a huge role in me wanting to like get better at everything I do and like do it well, I guess, or as best to the best that I can.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Well, it definitely
it's wild.
shows. I mean, like circling back to the video part you put out last year was so good. It was like you can tell that you are really paying attention to doing stuff well, and that you have that self-critical eye, because everything that you did was done so well and so proper, and you have so much power in your snowboarding. And
Thank you.
yeah, it was seriously so impressive. Like what, pretty much, it might have been my favorite part in the whole movie. Honestly, like I loved
Thank you.
it.
That means a
Yeah.
lot. It really does. It, especially considering like that is like my like it's a blessing and a curse. Like the fact that I look at overanalyze everything, because I totally do, and like that's like the one thing like that I hold myself to a certain standard for. Like I might not be doing like the craziest things, but I really like am nitpicky about like if I'm executing the trick well, and if it's, if you're doing it well, like it goes so far when somebody does a trick well, opposed to them just like checking the box of doing the trick, or like
Yeah.
completing the rail. And it's so important to me to like be able to do things well. Like I don't know. It's a respect thing. Like I notice when other people do it, and when they're like nitpicky, and like for example, you watch like like landline, like raw files, and you'll see like Jake do something, all of them really. You'll see him
Hmm.
do something 100 times, and you're like, oh, that was good. But then you like slow it down, and like you understand why they chose the one that they chose to go with, like the make that they chose to go with, because it's so important to like, I don't know, it's like have standards. I guess I
Yeah.
find that very important, and I
Yeah,
think
I mean, it makes you proud of what you did when you got it, and you know you got it. There's
yeah,
no better feeling than when you get something, and
mm,
you've got that lingering, like,
yeah.
because then you watch it a year later, and you're like, well, still
There's so
there.
many times, yeah, there's so many times that I like will watch, like going back to the like the video part that I filmed last year. Like, I mean, I'm not satisfied with it by any means, and there's so many times where I like watch it, or I mean, not that I watch it, but like when Ted and I were
It's
going
okay to
over it.
watch it. I watch my stuff. You gotta see what you're
Yeah,
putting out.
yeah. But Ted would basically like confiscate it from, like he wouldn't let me watch it because I would just like over analyze.
Oh no.
My finger is in the weird spot or something like that, and oh god, that's
Yeah.
the cursed part of it. You like obsess over it, It's like I am obsessed with it, and I want to be the best representation of snowboarding that I can be for myself. That's probably like my number one goal.
Yeah. And what was it like filming with all those guys last year?
It was really amazing, like it life changing. I would say it's really cool. Like Ted was so patient, and like I had never experienced something like that before, and just like having the group effect of like having the guys there, and like they were like so helpful and like would push me, and also being able to watch them do it and watch them do what they're doing and how they set stuff up. It was just like it really put me in the mindset and kind of like whipped me into shape of like how things actually work, and how I want to carry out like my future in snowboarding, and how I'm going to like continue to film video parts. And it's just really interesting, like being prepared. Like there was so many times before where I would try to like go out and do something and I couldn't do it because I didn't have the right tools, or like like filming with Ted, it's never a matter of like this isn't going to work, like there's this factor and that factor, because Ted just knows, he's been around for so long and he has like all the right equipment that to make it work. Like there's no spot that's not a spot, because
Right.
you can make it work. You just have to put in the time and the effort. And it's when you have a crew that's willing to put in that time and effort, it's night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It really
it's
is.
really cool. Yeah, I this year I've worked with them, or I worked with Ted again. It was a different crew. And yeah, again, he's really patient, and that's huge, especially like when you have somebody, when you're investing so much time into something because you're passionate, you care about it, like having somebody on the other end also passionate and like caring about it and caring about your outcome and also like their outcome, and working together on a project as if it's for the sole purpose of the project, not an individual. Like that's so important, and I really feel like that's how Ted works. So like having him and working with him was like such a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really cool to see the transition he's made from being in front of the camera to being behind the camera. And I think it really shows in the videos like how supported you guys all feel and how much he understands the whole process. Not that other filmers don't, but like somebody who somebody like that who has like been really working hard at video parts for so long, like it's awesome to have that person behind the lens because they
For sure.
understand the battle to their core. Like he really
Yes.
really gets it, and he can support you guys and yeah, make spots happen even if they take 2 days to set up and things like
Yeah,
that. So
for
that's
sure.
cool.
It's so important. It is so important. Like, oh, I back like everything you just said. I back 100%. Like he just understands it, and he's so good at what he does, like snowboarding and like just like executing, filming a spot, like knowing like what to amplify. I feel like he does a good job at, because like he's been there. He knows what he just gets it. And like I will never forget, like there was a rail we went to this year, and he was like we went there for a day, or like the end of the day, and we ran out of light, and it was like it was a challenge rail. It was definitely like the hardest rail I've ever done, and like didn't get it. So we go back the next day, and it was like 4 different weather patterns. Like it was like snowing at one point, it was like sunny, and then it was like raining, and then it was like snowy again, and just was like not working. And I was like having like complete mental freakouts, and it's like I probably have like 15 minutes left, and like I finally do it, and I was like, it was crazy. It was like the most like wild experience. Like I've never experienced something, but I remember Ted looking at me and being like, "We would have come back tomorrow, but like day 3 is like a dark day," and like he said that from like his personal experience. He's like, "I've done it, I've had to do it, but like, he's like, I want you to know that I would have come back for you, but at the same time, like day 3 could be a totally different day." And I'm like,
Oh yeah,
"True,
jeez.
true."
Yeah.
But just to, like have somebody like who can stand there and like be patient and like help you through anything you need, like break things down mentally, physically for you. It's just really cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, shout
That's
out to Ted.
incredible.
He's great.
Yeah. That's so cool. And so tell me a little bit more about this project this year. Are you happy with what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I am. Oh,
Same as always.
sorry.
Happy, but could be better.
Yeah, definitely. Hold on, sorry. So the project this year, yeah, filming with Ted again. The crews: Ted, Nirvana, Desiree, Jeff Holst, Dylan Oaktree, Denver Orr, Phil Hansen. I think Bodie might have some stuff in it. Paul's also filming. So it's a totally different crew, but it's been really cool and really fun. And although it was cut short, like I think the last clip I filmed for that was maybe like the beginning of January or something, maybe.
Oh wow, crazy.
Or maybe like end of January, but I feel like it's been a while. This year's kind of been a crazy year. On top of it ending a little bit early, but yeah, it's been a weird year, but I am happy with what we've all been filming. It is cool. Again, could be a lot more and a lot better, but what are you gonna do?
Why do you say this year was weird? Other than this,
there was just like a lot of. I think I learned a lot about prioritizing things, as far as like prioritizing things for sponsors and like working with them, opposed to just being like filming a video part. I had this realization this year, which I love filming video parts, and that's what I'm going to continue doing, and that's what I love to do. And I feel the most myself when I'm doing it. But it was interesting because you learn something new every day, and with your sponsors, and it's like a family, and you want to work to grow that in a relationship, and you want to work to grow that relationship, and that relationship doesn't just grow by just like filming a video part.
Yeah.
In a way it does, like to the industry and to the viewers it does, but at the same time you work with them and you like do things with them and for them and in support of, because they're in support of you. And I think, and that's why I say like I stopped going on trips with the people I was filming with, because at the beginning I was like, oh, this is what I'm doing this year. I'm filming with Ted and Snowboarder. Like, this is what I'm doing. That's my number one priority. Like, it's very important to put time into the other relationships that you have that are supporting you through those projects. And I'm so happy that I, realized that, because it's been so fun, like just being able to like grow with brands and grow with companies and, changing companies or careers, something like that. It's
and it's been a really big growing period for you over the last year or two. I feel like, especially coming off of the awards, but I just noticed that I just feel like I see you presented in a better way recently, and people are really taking advantage of your talents like in the best way, and it's really cool to see you growing in that sense. And I think it's such a good time for someone like you, for the brands to be backing. And so it's just been really, really fun and cool to watch. But
Thank you.
Do you feel like, has it been, like, do you feel like you've been more supported lately and more involved with your sponsors and things like that? Like, I
feel like that I am just getting more of an understanding of like what it actually is to be in a position that I'm in. And of course, yes, I feel like I am very well supported, and I'm happy like with everything that all the opportunity that I get. And I just find that it's so important to like show up to the opportunities that are presented to you. Like, that's a huge part of it, like probably one of the number one things.
Absolutely.
And it's cool. Like, I like being able to like talk on a platform, or just like have a platform to like voice like what I like to, like how I work, how I operate, like what's important to me. Like, it's like a week ago, like last week I did an interview with I did a call or like a Zoom interview with some of the girls that go to like Weiss Academy, like at camp, and like just we talked about video parts, and Kennedy Deck did it with me, and it was just cool. Like it was really fun, and it's really cool to see like like a very humbling experience. Like I want to be the best I can be, not only for myself, but I want to like for the generations below, the everybody in snowboarding that's by my side and stuff like that. Like I want to be a good representation of like who we are as snowboarders, and just like push the limits. And I love that. I think that's really cool. And to be able to like voice that is huge. And yeah, that's probably like makes me really happy. It makes me want to be a better person for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think you definitely are on a really good track, and I think you got a nice, healthy career ahead of you.
Thank you. I'm going to hopefully keep pushing. I'm going to keep pushing.
Yeah, of course. You gotta. And do you have any other jobs, or is that your primary source of income?
This is my primary job, I would say. I don't know if I want to call it a job, because I do. But there's definitely times where I'm like stressed about things that I need to get done for it, I guess you could say. Going back to like marketing aspects and doing things for brands, but at the end of the day, it's like this, I couldn't be happier. I do like this summer, I've spent the past summers like going to camp and like doing that kind of thing and just kind of like hanging out and snowboarding, and which I find like that it's so helpful. You learn so much in the summer times. But this summer I would really like to maybe like get a side gig or something, just because I think it's so important to like have balance in your life. And sometimes I get overwhelmed when I'm just like doing the same thing over and over again, a little bit of a routine. So if I can like break that up, I would love to do that. But that just has to do with me being in one spot for a long enough period of time, which hopefully soon I could do.
Yeah, it's always difficult to manage, especially if you're going to the summer camps and stuff like that. Like, there's not a lot of jobs that you can just show up and be like, hey, I'm here to work all summer, except for like a couple weeks in the middle of summer, and then once fall comes around, I might not be here anymore. And it's a really weird thing to navigate. But for me, I've done things here and there, and it always is a nice balance. Usually, I find that I think some people can really do the whole snowboard thing full time, and like that's what they do all year, and they're cool with that, and they're living their best life. But I've definitely learned for myself that that's not really the case for me, and I need my brain to go to other places and be inspired by other things, because I feel like that ultimately that's what creates the best art, is when you draw influence from other parts of your life, and you're just kind of pushing yourself in different ways. So
absolutely. That's so true. And that's like where I was saying earlier, where I was like, oh, I feel like all I do is like snowboard and skateboard, and I want to use my brain, is because when I'm using other avenues of my life and my brain and stuff like that, like I feel like I can snowboard and skateboard better,
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
And it makes it that much better when you can do it. I mean, sometimes totally. It's important to be in a place where you are like, what am I doing? All I want to be doing is skateboarding and snowboarding, because then when you get back to it, you're so grateful. And
definitely,
it's where like if you can do it every single day, it's really easy to get jaded.
Very. But I tell myself that a lot. I'm like, oh, I'm so lucky to be able to live the life that I'm living, and it's just crazy. I never would have thought that this is what I'd be doing, but now I don't see it any other way. But I did want to say something based on like getting other jobs and like people having this as like their main job and their only job. Like that's one, I want to be able to use my brain, like I was just saying, but also I feel like one way like that, one of the only ways that can work, I mean, unless you're like the best, like I struggle, like a lot of like influencers, like going on that topic, I guess you will, like I would find like if I wanted to make this my only job, like not like use energy towards doing something else, like whether it's like serving tables or like getting a job doing whatever, like I would work at a coffee shop, I'd do anything. But I feel like if I were to make this solely my job, I would have to like give in to like other gimmicks that are going around like on social media and stuff like that. And I don't feel comfortable doing that. And I think that's like one of the main reasons why I want to get like a physical job doing something. Because
I hear you loud and clear. I am not a big fan of the whole influencer culture. And I mean, we are that. That's part of what our job is, and that's what's interesting about being a professional snowboarder as opposed to, traditional athlete where your main thing, the reason people are paying you is for your athletic ability. Where
Yes.
in this case, it's yes, it is like the athletic ability to get noticed and to get there. But then for companies to keep paying you, you need to be the marketing person. You need to be good in front of a camera. Yeah, and like
It's a
at
scheme.
least be somewhat involved with social media and pushing things out there. And it's a really interesting mix of things that, yeah, some people are the right people to be like shameless self-promotion, a bunch
Yep.
of online things, gimmicky, like, and works for some people, but yeah, for me, it's not my true nature to be like, hey, everybody, I'm super cool, I'm the best, buy this, do that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. It
so
kind of like eats at your soul a little
it
bit. It's
does,
hard.
it
It
does.
really does. And oh, like, but it's like, like also going back to what I was saying earlier, where it's like you're kind of a product of what you're doing. Like I feel like once you start doing that, like that becomes like who you are. And I guess I'm so terrified of like that becoming who I am. Like I want to like have like, I want to respect myself, and not saying that like, not saying that that's a bad avenue. Like
Right,
people are
it's
making
not.
careers off of it. It's
Yeah.
not at all, but like I just don't feel comfortable doing that. And I think I'm so terrified of my life turning into a point where like that's what it's going to entail for me to continue doing what I love to do. So I guess in my head, and I guess I'm just trying to figure out a way to do it organically and like
Be
not have to
authentic.
play, yeah, be authentic and not have to play into that kind of stuff, because it just, not that there's anything wrong with it, I just don't, I want to hold myself to a different standard, I guess. I want to like, that's, and I think maybe that's why I like take so much time into like critiquing my own work and like the work
Mm.
that's going on around me, is because like I want it to be noticeably, like I want everybody in Snowboarding to like hold it to a certain standard, like
Right.
brands, riders, everybody. There needs to be like a standard set that like different, makes it so you can like differentiate between a professional athlete and an influencer,
Right. Right.
like the gray area in between is just so massive right now that I
It
just feel like,
is.
and
You
I
can
struggle
get
with that.
sponsored just because you have a big following. Like,
Yeah, it's so wild to me. And like like I talk to like some people who work at the brands, and like they break it down, and I get it. Like when I'm going into my business side of my brain, like I understand like why. I understand
they need
why.
the
There's
numbers.
numbers, baby. That's all they
Yeah.
want. But at the same time, it's like I think there's a way that we can all do it, meet in the middle and be the best we can be physically.
I think it's all about just being patient, playing the long game, and really just being true to yourself. And yeah, you might not get the checks right out the gate, but like I feel like if you're really working on perfecting your craft and being true to yourself and putting out stuff that you really want to put out, there will be a time where the money and the sponsors that support your true vision are going to show up. And they,
Yeah.
it's really easy to get sucked into oh, this company wants to give me free stuff, and if I just keep, if I start posting about it
Mm.
and doing this and that. And I mean, I've been navigating this landscape a little bit myself ever since winning X Games. There's been a couple of things that have been presented to me where I'm getting to the point where I have to decide, like, okay, do I maybe want to like foster this relationship that could potentially turn into more income, but that means I'm spending this much more time like posting on Instagram meaningless
Yeah.
stuff that I don't think is really that cool. Like, I don't really want to be constantly posting stuff of me
Mhm.
with product like, oh, this is so great. I mean, for certain things, yes, because certain things I truly feel like they add a value to
Yes.
my life, and I want to share that with my audience and people who follow me. But you can't really chase that. You need to just chase what's true for you, and I feel like the rest will follow, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Well, see, if everybody had that mindset of being like, I'm going to promote what actually works and what is best for me, it would be a different place,
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's so important. Like, I try to do that. I try to just post about things that I actually do like,
But then it's hard
because that's what's
because
important.
yeah, but and then the struggle is when you realize like It's not easy to make money as a snowboarder, and the money that's out there is not very much. And so you kind of need to like play with the devil a little bit and find a
Yeah.
compromise.
Yeah.
But
It's all about, I would say compromising is definitely a huge part of it, but it's just, I think it's really up to, I've had this realization lately where it's kind of like we're at the age now where our peers are in a position of power at these brands, and it's so important because the people our age or like our peers who've like done it, maybe they were a snowboarder or an aspiring snowboarder, or just were like, I want to get a job and like work in the industry. I think they're less business heady people. We're in a good opportunity right now. I mean, erase the virus that's going around. Let's go back to a couple months ago when like it wasn't there, and like our friends or peers are in these positions of power. Like they are now making the conscious decision to like stay away from the influencing like side of things. And I think I just recently started noticing that, and I think that's really cool. So if we could keep that up, that would be great.
yeah, right. Because at the end of the day, if like all we're trying to do is influence, and all we're doing is brainwashing, and we just gotta
Yeah.
be careful
Yeah.
not to let that happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So I think, showcasing like talent and skill and is so important, opposed to
Yeah.
being like my favorite shoes of the week. I don't know.
Right. And I mean, for instance, like the only sponsor of this podcast is Raw Superfoods, and
Uh-huh.
I do that I because it's something that actually makes me feel good, and it's something that
Yep.
I do use on a daily basis, whether or not they sponsored it. I like those types of products are the things that I really use, and I feel like they help me, and I'm supporting somebody in the industry who is doing the same, and it's like that has surfaced naturally and of my own accord, and it's not some company being like, hey, you're doing a podcast, try to sell my product, like.
Yeah, I feel like I remember when you were living in Salt Lake before the podcast, you were using that product. I feel like you
Yeah,
were using this product before the podcast anyway, so it's
yeah,
cool to see the like organic relationship between you guys. Like that's so important. It's rare these days, so
mm-hmm,
nice.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, I guess I want to move on to another side of things. How long have you had your dog?
She just turned 1 on April 1st,
Wow,
and I had her. She was like 13 weeks when I got her, so about almost a year. Yeah. It's
nice.
crazy. I kept her alive for a year. I'm shocked. I mean, I don't know if I'm more proud of myself.
Congratulations.
Thank you. She's happy and healthy
What's her
and
name?
sunbathing. Her name's Sammy.
Sammy.
Yeah,
Nice.
she's a little Jack Russell Chihuahua.
Hmm.
I mean,
So,
she's pretty good. She doesn't bark that much. Kind of whines sometimes, but
so what's the balance of that like during the winter? I mean, especially in the early, that must have been tough because what, was like 6 months in the middle of winter,
yeah,
or I guess
yeah.
beginning. I
It
don't
was honestly like it was kind of the best year to. First of all, I don't know if I would recommend getting a dog if you're in a position that I was in, or
know.
am. Like honestly, like it's great. I love her. I would never ever regret like getting her. But luckily, the crew that I'm filming with, we had 4 dogs. Like Ted has a dog, Desiree has a dog, Paul has a dog, and I have
So
Sammy.
there's
And
a
so,
shared understanding.
oh yeah, the dogs are gonna have like full parts. Like the dogs were at like they came on pretty much every trip that we
No
drove to,
way.
which was
That's cool.
Peoria. So we had like yeah, and like the emotional support those dogs offer, like unreal. Like you like get in the car and you like have these like doggy cuddle puddles, and it's just like it's honestly life hack, I would say.
That's cool.
But I will say like it is a little bit difficult, like like you can't just leave like on a whim, and normally like that's what we do, we just leave. Like you get a call that you're going across the country tomorrow, and to a different country, and you got to go. But luckily, like I found these really great dog sitters here in Salt Lake, and I just
Oh,
offered
cool.
Rover, and yeah, her name's Libby. She's great. She like watches my dog, and she's also like a dog trainer. So Sammy does really well over there, and I trust her. So when I go on a trip, it's kind of expensive, but at the same time, like it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's now at the point where she was like having some accidents at the beginning, as puppies do, obviously, but she's like fully she's good now. So I don't worry about her. I think this year I didn't go abroad as much as I have in the past. So, next year maybe, or the future years, like I know I'll have to do something, but my parents are really helpful as well, and my roommates. So I'm not too worried, but I try to bring her everywhere I can when I can. She's a good flyer.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Have you
Yeah.
and you've flown with her? Have you flown with her a lot already?
Yeah, but I do. Yeah,
Wow, crazy.
I've been flying with her since I just got her at the beginning. Like she came to Hood.
Huh.
She was like at camp with
Cool.
me. Like yeah, she's well traveled. She's quite
Yeah.
cultured.
That's really, really cool. And so, how much has that improved your life having her? I mean, yeah, is it like,
It's phenomenal. I love having a dog. I really do. It's definitely stressful at times. Like don't get
yeah,
me wrong. Like it
yeah,
would be a lot easier if I lived a normal life of just like going to work, coming home, and like having a dog and like taking the dog to the park. But
yeah, right.
it's fun and also gets me out of the house. Like not that I like stay inside all that much, but like it gives me like I think I was before getting Sammy, I like missed the sense of responsibility, and that's so important. Like, because I was getting to a point in snowboarding where I was just kind of like, like what am I gonna do today? Just kind of like I guess I'll just go skate again or something like that, and like that was just felt so bad to me. And
Mm.
now,
Yeah,
now,
I know what you mean. Like
yeah,
just the whole, well, I guess I'll do this. I got to do something to fill my time.
yeah,
Like,
it's kind of like
right.
having a job. There's just responsibilities, and like having
Yeah.
responsibility I find is so important, and like
It keeps you on top of your life.
yeah, totally. Like I now have a healthy routine because I have a dog, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And so is there anything else in your life that that is kind of a big part like that, or like what do you do to stay centered? What makes you feel good in life other than skating, snowboarding, and whatever else we've talked about here?
Like I'm gonna be honest, I like that's kind of it, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like something that I struggle with, like because I like look around and I think because of social media, I'm like, oh, people do all these cool things and these hobbies, and like as I was saying earlier, I was like, oh, I was gonna make candles, like maybe I'll make patches. Like,
Right,
to be
right.
honest, like what I like to do is hang out. I like to go skate. I like being outside, whether I'm doing nothing or whether I'm doing something. I like talking to like I'm pretty average, and I guess like I was ashamed of that like for a little bit of
Average
time,
is good. Average is okay.
and yeah, and I just realized like I would like to get a dirt bike or like an enduro. I want to like that sounds fun to me, and like just like shit like that. But like for like at the beginning of this quarantine, like not gonna lie, like I watched three to four seasons of Jersey Shore and like piled out on the couch. Like and like that's normal, and like people do that, and I was spending so much time of like regretting that, where I'm just like what am I doing? Like I'm just a pile, and then I'm like just because I see people online things like baking bread. Everyone's baking bread now, so I guess I'll start doing that. But like I'm
Right.
just like I like to do this. I like simple things, and like I'll work hard and I'll like build stuff. But like at the end of the day, like I could have a chill day. Like I'll watch TV or I'll watch movies on the couch, or like I'll like sit and do nothing or like stretch.
Right.
So
Yeah, why?
it took me a while to like accept that, but I think I'm just realizing like I'm pretty average, and average is cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't like why is it that we've gotten to a point that we feel bad about, like we said before, like why does it feel bad to sit and watch TV? I mean,
Yeah,
if that's all you do, yes, but like
yeah, yeah,
that's clearly not the case, and
yeah.
you got to let yourself go a little bit. So,
For sure.
but
Like after a long day, like to be honest, the last thing I want to do is come home and garden. Like I wish that was something
yeah,
I wanted to
right.
do, but I'm not gonna lie to everybody and say that's what I like to do. It's really not. Like
Yeah, I came
I
to the
think that's
realization.
okay.
Yeah, I came to the realization last summer that um, as much as I love plants and love the idea of having a beautiful garden, like if it takes up more than like an hour a week or whatever,
Yeah.
it's not worth it to me. And I feel like I've always tried to have a cool garden in the backyard or whatever. And someday I want to like grow a bunch of food and stuff like that. But I'm gonna have it set up in a way that it waters itself, and all I have to do is
Yep.
go like out there and check on it every once in a while. Cause
Yep.
yeah, and that's okay. And
Yeah.
I just don't find the
Totally.
joy in it. I know some people are like, oh my gosh, I'm out there in the garden and I'm like feeling so good, and I just
Yeah.
not that way. So
It's cool though. Like I'll just say this too. Like Rav, I admire Mike so much because he's so talented at so many things. Like the kid can draw, the kid could play, the kid could sing, the kid could.
Yeah,
I'm sure he could
bored.
dance. I don't know. Like
Oh, he could
art,
probably dance.
everything. Snowboard, skateboard. Like he's so multifaceted and it's so cool. And like, of course, like I would love to do that, and I would love to be able to do that. But like and I've been really working on my patience, and I think like in time I will. But right now, I really like what I'm doing, and I just realized that like the pressures of me feeling like I need to be doing more and more and more are just like false realities. Like I'm happy and I want to continue pushing and being the best I can at what I'm doing, opposed to just like being, 50% good at a lot of little things. I want to be like, I want to master the craft that I'm doing now and then kind of move out from there.
Right. It's the path to mastery is generally for most people a single path. And, it doesn't mean being single-minded. You can still have other interests and get into other things, but like having that like driving force of that one thing that you want to be really good at is really all you need to focus on.
For sure. And just like I admire people who do other things, but just because they do them doesn't mean I have to do them. But I appreciate, like, it's really cool. Like, I feel like once somebody excels in something, once you excel in something, you can appreciate people excelling in all different avenues of life. And I think that's so important. Like, like different type of respect levels is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Cool. Well, this was really cool to talk to you and have you on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. It kind of exploded at the last minute, but I just would realize, I'm like, you know what?
No, what do you mean? No, it's great. I love talking about this stuff with other people because, I mean, it's not often that we get to dive into things like this and, really be heard. And it's something that everybody is in the same boat a lot of the time. Like anything that we feel and experience, a lot of other people are going through the same thing. And one thing that I found through this podcast is, a lot of people who are in, do what we do. A lot of us are going through the same motions in our mind and dealing with the same things and dealing with the balance of a seasonal quote unquote job and being like, your body is your product. And it's just like a lot of the same things that we all have to navigate. And so I'm glad that, I appreciate you just like opening up and putting it all out there. And,
for sure. Yeah. Anytime. Thank you for having me. That was great. I really enjoyed talking to you. I really enjoy what you do. So
thank you.
Thank you seriously.
You're an inspiration for me and many other people, I'm sure, as well. So keep doing what you're doing. And I'm so excited to see the movie coming out this year. And, so where can people find you on the internet?
What's up? I just lost you.
Where can people find you? What's your Instagram? What else? Are you on any other platforms?
No, I'm not. Just Instagram. Jill_Perkins is my Instagram name, but that's it. I mean, I have a Facebook. Don't use it. So
same.
I wouldn't.
I haven't used Facebook in so many years, and my mom will still be like, ask me about things on Facebook, and it's like, when's the last time you've seen me post on Facebook? Like, what? Yeah. How many times have I told you this? Yeah.
It's so odd. Yeah, I don't know. I try to keep my social mediaing to a minimum. I mean, I know I'm pretty active on Instagram, but sign of the times,
Yeah.
But it's all good.
Oh,
Thank you.
Actually, I saw the other day, I was going to bring this up, I forgot. The other day, you and Amanda, you guys were like dancing live on Instagram.
We decided, that was like day one of quarantine when like we were like kind of like joking around. And you're like, this would be so funny. Like I had all these ideas of like things I wanted to do. And then it just came down to like, that took us like 3 hours. Like it wasn't like, it was
my
and we were
God.
like sweating.
Of like choreographing it and everything.
Yeah. It was so we were just like on YouTube like watching like how-to tutorials. It was so funny.
Wow.
Oh God.
So you guys haven't done it since?
No, it's hard. No, we haven't. I would like to do it again.
Yeah.
Taking song requests. If anybody has any requests, just let me know.
Oh yeah, hit her up on Instagram.
I guess.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I think podcasts are great, and I like the one you do, and it's just like a nice form of expression and kind of gives people a way to dive into other people's lives and see what actually really goes on behind the screens of our phones.
Yeah, exactly. And just, yeah, I think, for your audience and things like that, people get to understand you in a better way. And it's just, we all just need to appreciate each other a little bit more. And this is a great way to do it. So
yeah,
we all got
you.
good intentions. So
yeah, that was great. I needed that. That's a nice way to spend quarantine, I guess.
Yeah.
Talking to friendly faces.
Yeah, exactly. And thank you for being my first digital podcast.
Yeah, you let me know how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be great. It sounds
like emojis and stuff via Skype. Didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, right, true. Yeah.
Well, what do we do from here? How does this do?
Oh, no, that's it. I was going to just, I think we can cut it now. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. And I'll talk to you later, Jill. Thanks again.
All right.
And
thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, have a good rest of your quarantine.
Yeah, oh God. Okay, you too.
All right.
See ya.
See you later. Hey guys, thanks again for listening. As always, you can reach out to me at boardbagstudio on Instagram or boardbagstudio@gmail.com. If you want to email me, you can even reach out to me on my normal Instagram at JediPauls. And I hope that these episodes are inspiring you to be the best you can be. And don't forget, you can get 10% off at rawrlife.com with the discount code Jesse. That's JESSE at RAWRLIFE.com. Peace.